Happy Friday, PSWs and friends across Ontario and Canada. Welcome to PSW Podcast, where we come to you guys live every single Friday here on Facebook to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, the gray area of the personal support worker profession. And my name is Miranda Rwananovich. I'm the CEO of the Ontario PSW Association, the Canadian Support Workers Association, and host of PSW Podcast. And I am yet again joined by my co-host, Ian De Silva, the Chief Operating Officer of both associations as well. And today we are talking about something that comes across our social media and emails on the daily, almost to the minute, which is personal support worker wages and why some of these wages are so low. So Ian, do you want to take it away?
Yeah, I'll jump right in. So we get this a lot. Thanks, Marina, for introducing this topic. PSW wages are very much intertwined with the profession right now. And we're going to talk a little bit about why the PSW wages are actually much lower than they should be, I think is really what this conversation talks about. Now, throughout our history, the Ontario PSW Association has always advocated for what we call title protection. Now, this is a term that is sometimes a little bit difficult to get one's head around. But what title protection means is that if I went to school to become doctor, nurse, PSW, when I graduate, only people that did that education like I did would be able to perform in that field. For the PSWs, all of you out there listening, none of you have title protection. The nurses have it, everyone else in healthcare has it, only the PSWs do not have title protection. So this is why a core reason why the PSW wages are so low. Without title protection, it means that employers are not bound to hire a fully trained PSW. They are open to hire anyone that they think can do the jobs as a PSW as well. This is also entrenched in the regulatory structures. Even in long-term care, there's a lot of power over them to do this. So in a nutshell, the reason the wages are so low, there's no protection to define who you are as PSWs, ergo, you have to compete with everybody that wants to just jump into this field on a moment's notice.
Yeah.
That is why
I
your
mean,
wages are low.
there is some legislature that does protect the PSW in essence when it comes to home and community care, where only, actual personal support workers from accredited programs in Ontario can perform the care through, for certain types of care in home care. And same with long-term care. There is some leeway there for them, but primarily you have to be a personal support worker graduated from an accredited program in the province of Ontario. But it's like the way I explain it to PSWs, Ian, is I always say, like, we're taught in school and even when we graduate as PSWs that never call yourself a nurse and don't ever allow someone to call you a nurse because that is actually illegal.
It is.
It's an illegal thing. I can't call myself a doctor. I can't call myself a nurse. I can call myself a personal support worker. A nurse is a nurse. A doctor is a doctor. A PSW is whomever wants to be a personal support worker, like your neighbor's, uncle's best friend's fish's babysitter who took care of that fish can call themselves a PSW because they took care of the fish.
And can charge $2 less an hour.
Yeah. And that's where we're seeing a lot of the PSWs getting angry about, the home support workers. Because the home support workers in a lot of companies, it's no fault of the HSWs, guys, okay? The employers are putting the HSWs into more complex care in the communities so that they save that $250 an hour on that HSW and pocket the rest.
Exactly.
Right. And so that's why when we come out here to our friends here on Facebook and we talk about title protection or regulation, like with the HESCAPOA, it's important to say, like, title protection should come with regulation.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right?
It would be foundational. Should be a foundational requirement. Yes.
Yeah. Yep. And I will say though, like PSWs in a lot of job places, they don't make bad anymore. So PSWs in a lot of workplaces like hospitals, a lot of municipal long-term care homes, they make bank. Like they truly, truly do. They make really good money. But then you have the PSWs that are working for private home care companies or retirement homes, and they make like just above minimum wage.
Some cases, yeah.
Yeah. But then I always say to those PSWs, like, then if you want to make more money, then I'm sorry, guys, it's a competitive market. It's healthcare. And so you have to market yourself, which means you have to either specialize or you have to continue with your continuing education so that your portfolio, your resume looks better than the, 150 other people that are also applying for the same jobs that you are.
Well said. Absolutely, completely agree. One of the and ties back into job preparedness. When you leave school to be a PSW, because your title's not protected and you're also competing against other PSWs who've been in the field longer, what we've been strongly recommending is please visit, get some additional education to make sure your resume is competitive and marketable for employment. We've run off a little topic here, but yeah,
Well,
make
it
sure it
plays to
is.
wages. It plays to
Yeah, it
wages.
links to wages, but you want to make sure if you want to get those better wages. So when you come out of school, you need to start. No one comes out of school making, well, okay, I'm not going to say nobody. Very rarely do you come out of school going into full time. It does happen. It is rare, but it happens.
Yep.
But for the majority of people, you need to invest more in your career. Start investing in those additional programs. Like let's do a palliative care specialist, de-escalation. There's lots of them. Things that you can identify that skill sets that you can bring to your employer that you did on your own behalf.
Looks
That's
good.
it's professional. It's what employers look at.
Also what nurses do. It's also what doctors do. They all have to maintain their practice. They have to continue building and relearning. I always say the PSW course is the base of your career as a PSW. You take it, that's the base. Some
Exactly. Yes.
PSWs choose not to upgrade, and that's fine, or not to do any extra courses, and that's fine. They want to work where they work and they're happy where they are, and good for you. But for those PSWs that truly want to advance and make that extra money and make themselves marketable, then you need to do the continuing education. You need to be a member of OPSWA. You need to be registered with HESCAPOA, and you need to show that you're taking yourself seriously.
Yes.
Employers recognize that. And also too, we can talk about, you want to make better money, don't show up to an interview wearing a hoodie and yoga pants.
Yes.
You know what I
We
mean?
heard
Like
of
actually show up looking like you want the job. I mean, I've had PSWs because I hire through one of my other endeavors, but I've had PSWs show up in scrubs for their interview. I actually commended that. I thought, well,
yeah,
yeah,
I'm okay with that. I think that's
you're dressing for the part. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like that's okay. That's
like
all right. But do not show up in scrubs that look like you've been, that you slept in them.
professional scrubs. Yeah, because you have your day-to-day scrub. Oh, we're going in a well, day-to-day scrubs where you wear they're comfortable ones you actually wear every day.
Yeah.
But you got to put your formal scrubs on, maybe.
The formal. I
Fun,
still have
fun.
my formal scrubs.
Yeah, I mean, I
Um,
can't believe there is such a thing, but there is actually. So you always want to look best. These are the scrubs you wear, just to embellish. But these are things you want to take seriously, and they are contributing factors to the wages. So you're competing with a lot of PSWs, and this is more to new graduates coming out of college right now. You're competing with a lot of different PSW populations, people that are re-entering the field after years of absence, people that have decided they want to become home care workers and are just doing it. Plus against there's a lot of private providers out there that want to keep the wages down because they have shareholders they have to honor. So there's a lot of pressure on wages. One thing that we debate here is whether or not the big issue about what wages is linked to the length of time in education. That does relate a lot in healthcare. There's a lot of the real debate is should PSWs get things like danger pay considering the risk level they're impacted with. That's something that we really should be looking at. Whether or not how tenable it is, I don't know.
I think that's something we should be
We should be.
calling
Yeah.
for.
We should be.
Some form of danger pay for the PSWs. I mean, it's again, it's going back to what people want us to say about the PSW, which is the personal support worker. You're going to graduate, you're going to get full time, you're going to work this full time job, you're going to have benefits. It's not a dangerous job, it's an easy job. Anybody can do your job. That's a lie. And so what you have to look at is you're going to graduate and you're going to come into a market where it is massively competitive. And depending upon where you live, there's not a lot of work because all the jobs have already been filled. And you know what I mean? Like and it is, and it can be a dangerous job. It can be for injury on the job. And just to also point out as well, I do want to give our heartfelt condolences to the family of Nancy Gruhl, who, for those of you watching, was a personal support worker in home care in the Windsor-LaSalle area, who unfortunately was murdered while leaving a client's home earlier this week. So I want you all to keep your head on a swivel. No one is at risk. This was not um, a a
Random.
sudden attack, a random attack. This unfortunately was a planned attack on her, and due to do with her advocacy on TikTok. And our heart goes out to Nancy and her colleagues, of course. And SEIU lost a great PSW, and our thoughts go out to them as well. It's a sad day in our community, but again, we will rally and we will come back again. But it also just shows to the danger on the job, the realities of the job, and how we have to stop ignoring the fact that PSWs demand a living wage. PSWs deserve a living wage. PSWs deserve a workplace that they can feel safe and they can operate safely. And again, it plays into the people in our care. If a PSW is taken care of, so are those in their care.
Of
We
course.
are so directly with these individuals that, anything that affects us affects them. Anything that affects them affects us. And so we have to remember that, but not to bring down the tenor of this,
Yes.
this podcast. I had to say it.
Oh, well,
Uh,
absolutely.
yeah, we found out this morning. Our hearts are absolutely broken. It's a very sad day for our community of PSWs. But to continue on about wages, wages are a real issue. Wages are a real thing. It's something that is continuously talked about. And you're right, Ian, when you say about, should PSWs be paid more if they have X, Y, and Z? I'll share that when I started as a PSW in 2006, I decided that mental health was my passion. And I started taking continuing education and micro credentialing and workshops as in mental health because that was what I loved to do. And yes, when I was working as a PSW in home care, I was making really good money back in the day. I didn't need a second job because I was in such high demand because of my skill set. And so I want to put that into the minds of the PSWs that you don't just have to take care of geriatrics, guys. You can take care of babies. You can take care of teenagers, adults. I mean, the sky's the limit for PSWs. We cover the lifespan.
True.
That is what a PSW does, is cover the lifespan. And so I want to put that in their heads because there really is no ceiling to what PSWs can do.
No, just don't call yourself a nurse.
Yeah. Just
You know,
don't call yourself a nurse
that's
and
right.
don't
You're
do
not a nurse.
anything. Yeah, you're not a nurse. And also too, don't do anything outside of your scope of
Don't do anything outside
practice.
of scope. And don't do anything that you know is to be immoral. You cannot be, and we're getting a lot of this, you ingratiate yourself with families. I get it, there's that pull, but you need to maintain some distance as well. You have to behave as professionals.
Very good point. Thank you, Ian. The
One thing
boundary.
let's go, yeah, boundaries, because boundaries is another area. The professionals maintain boundaries, okay? Understand the instinct. You're PSW, you're working closely, intimately with the family is relying on you. You do form a bond. You absolutely form a bond with that family. And they will consider you a member of the family up until the end of that time. Okay? They will always respect you, but we're not part of their families. We're just there to support them in that period of time. And then once we've supported them, we want to support the next family. Always wishing well for the previous one. That's what I want to say. So I think don't be any harm that sometimes you have to go on to the next person who needs you. I think that's kind of what I wanted to say. And then I want
Oh,
to talk
and
about
no, and that's a really good point. And boundaries are very important. And you don't give out your personal cell phone number to these families. You don't
not
show up on a day that you're not working with them just to transfer them into the car. These are things you do not do. And you guys have to remember there are contracts that home care companies have with these families that you can be legally responsible if you do these things, if you breach
yes.
these
Well said.
boundaries.
Yes. Protect yourselves. Yes. And don't
Yes.
be guilted into the shortfalls. Like there's all sorts of shortages and like in healthcare there's been shortages. It's not your responsibility to cover those shortfalls. So we don't have a PSW coming today because the system canceled on me. Can you pop in on your day off? Well, I guess I get no. Then you're just supporting a bad system. Okay, you're just keeping it going when they should know that there's gaps. They don't need to address them if you go and keep it going. I've made my point. Sorry, I'm
I
gonna keep
think you have. But what was your point that you wanted to make? You wanted to talk
back
about
to the
something.
$3 back to the danger pay a bit, but we can go on. We can go back to that in a sec. I'm not sure if you want to continue.
Cool. I'm done.
So just jumping back to the pay increase. So when the reason why PSWs in long-term care got a $3 pay enhancement was because of having to deal with the new increased risk of the COVID-19. So the government has technically embedded a $3 enhancement to do that danger wage. However, what we've seen though is after the analysis is between 2020 and 25, COVID's not the risk that we need to protect people from. It's bodily injury, harm. So
The
we
job.
it's the job. Yeah,
It's
it's devastating. It's 40,000 injuries in 5 years is a number you can't ignore. Um, and I really think you want to look at what is the real pay that you need to pay these people to recompensate them for the actual risk and loss of quality of life. Now, yes, WSIB has some benefits, and most of those people do have WSIB benefits because they're tracked by the WSIB. So these people aren't just cast to the wind or anything, but they can't work. They're going to be damaged forever. So I think we really want to look at revisiting how we redistribute wages in long-term care to show that the people who actually have the most burdenful jobs receive a more appropriate share of the allowances rather than going necessarily to administration, management. I don't know. It goes into all sorts of.
Well, I agree. It's an envelope system, right? So long-term care operates on an envelope system. Home care operates a little bit similar to that as well. I think what we need to do is ixnay the envelope system, number one, allowing money to flow through all envelopes if wherever they require to flow that money. I've said that for years,
Yes,
but
for sure.
that danger pay is also plays into home care very massively. And you're right, Ian. Like I forgot, we fought so hard for that. Well, no, not really. They kind of just handed it to us, to be perfectly honest.
They
That
asked the
$3
consultant,
wage enhancement.
and we couldn't.
Yeah.
You don't say no to the $3 wage enhancement
We
for
don't say no to the government says we want to give wage increases to your PSWs. Okay.
no association or union would say no to that unless it was like an insultingly low amount, despite the thing. But yeah, no, I mean, we were consulted and we did have that $3, and it was designed to protect wages, to protect against COVID. But it's not COVID that's causing the problems. So
No, it's not. And it's astonishing to me. I mean, even like when we posted a post the other day and we said about the 45,772 reported injuries and lost time off work by PSWs from 2020 to 2025, it was interesting how so many PSWs wrote underneath that, yeah, those are the ones that reported. And so if you think about like those are the ones that reported it, I'm guilty. Okay, I'm guilty. When I worked as a PSW, I injured myself more than a few times, and I'm paying for that today, not gonna lie. But I didn't do a WSIB report every single time. And the reason being, Ian, is because I was given a hard time by my management. So if I did a WSIB report, my God, did I ever get chastised for that? They were not happy about it whatsoever. They said that's not that bad of an injury and so on and so forth. And they just didn't want to deal with it. And I saw how they dealt with my colleagues as well who had WSIB claims. And I thought, I don't want to deal with this. So I
yeah,
didn't report. And that's another reality in this weird culture in
but
healthcare.
there's also another element about reporting is that, and this is years ago that I've done this, so I'm not sure if the things have changed, but I know that if you're doing a lot of WSIP reports, it can impact premiums. I
Yeah,
think
it can. Yeah.
WSIP. So that's a real issue why some of these reports are actually suppressed. So what the real number is, I mean, we have no idea. I'm not even going to
Oh,
speculate on it.
no,
No idea.
PSW. So this is even us saying this. PSWs are saying it's got to at least be double.
Yeah, again, I can't speculate.
I
This
can't either. I'm just saying what the PSWs are saying.
distribute.
That's it.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's true. But I've been thinking at other companies I've worked with in the past when we had to deal with WSIB, like in an industrial capacity, we had people coming in on the injuries and being quietly told in HR meetings after, we don't want to deal with WSIB this month. We've already done too many reports, so we're gonna just handle this quietly, throw them some, get them out.
Yeah. Throw them some money and then bring them back in.
Yeah,
Happens too.
they're
Happens
like it's
too for
cheaper to do
PSWs.
this. We'll give them a few days off, let them recover,
Yeah.
and move them
Yeah.
back. It was
Yeah.
anything to avoid it, and having being someone who had to fill in a WSIB claim, I get it. Once you start a WSIB claim, it's not like you fill in a form and you send it off. You've just begun a big process that's going to take a
And
while,
it's
back and forth, and it's like, oh
exactly.
my god,
And it's not just PSWs that deal with it. I mean, nurses do whatever. My husband, who was in the military and injured himself, had a WSIB claim.
yeah, yeah.
And we're still dealing with that WSIB claim 3.5 years later, because the military never saw it through. So, like it's not just PSW employers, but I mean that's a whole other podcast. But I mean, I think, where PSWs are concerned is they just don't want to deal with it. They want to get in there, they want to care for their residents, they want to do their job, and they want to go home. They
Amen.
don't want to deal with any of the bureaucracy because it is very heavy bureaucracy in long-term care homes and a lot of home care as
So
well.
what they need to do is they need to deal, and I know this is not possible. I am not an insurance person. But I think there's got to be a way for this to have these reports be more accurate. In order to actually have a safe employer, you want to have the employer find an easy way to report this
Yeah.
and then not have it impacting premiums.
Yeah.
Like there should be a way around that. I know that's not possible, but it would need to be subsidized. You're not going to do if you're not going to do a danger pay, then you need to do some sort of subsidy or something to WSB. We're not WSIB advocates or non-advocates, so we're going to just I don't know. But it just seems to me that there's a lot of administration around this, which is impacting that problem.
Hugely. I mean, that's most things, right?
And
If you
yet
really think about it. But
we have all these injured PSWs, but wages don't go up.
because no one
It's
wants to
like,
talk about it. But no one wants to talk about it, Ian. Like we put out these numbers, guys. We sent it to media. Nobody wants to talk about this because it is a ginormous problem that nobody wants to tackle. All you have to do, and the main reason why this is happening, is because all PSWs are working short. They're being rushed. They're not being able to perform their duties to the best of their abilities. This is why. So, who do I blame? And I'm saying it, I blame the employers. Do
yeah.
better. A lot of them do really good, but there's the ones out there they need to do better because you're putting PSWs are human beings. They're not just people that you can put in there to care for your residents or your clients or your patients. And then, oh, don't worry, I'll get another PSW. We're not China dolls you can replace when we get broken. Like enough is enough. They need to fix the system. And the system, great all that they're building all these long-term care homes. They're posing for the pictures. They're having a grand time. I'm happy for them. Good for you. Break another ground. However, these long-term care homes are not going to be ready for 5 to 10 years.
And
So
they're gonna
staff the homes you frickin' have now. Make
and
sure there's staff in there.
yeah, and also like this please remember PSWs when you're applying for work, you're gonna hear that long-term care is desperately for PSWs, desperate, desperate, desperate. You're going to apply for a job and hear nothing. What they want is a large pool from which to draw from to maintain a low wage because you don't have title protection and they can just hire someone else. We
Yep.
went full circle, Marina, but we did it.
We did it. We always do, Ian. And sorry, I got a little passionate about that, but it's kind of
Well done,
ticking
though.
me
But
off.
Brenda, you're completely right, though. I mean, at the end of
Yeah.
the day, decisions are made. But now there is the envelope system, which does create limitations. But what the heck? This is not a new problem. We've known this problem has been around. We know it's a contributing factor to uh, not only PSW safety issues, but at the end of the day, if 40,000 PSWs are getting injured moving patients around, what's happening to those patients?
Well, and that's,
Are they
I was
being
going to say that
dropped?
next. What's happening to the patients?
Like, what is it? Like, what is
Yeah.
that? It's assuming one patient gets issued every time a PSW does. That's about 50,000 patients in the last 5 years, 10,000 a year being injured in their safest place in Ontario.
Yeah. We got to stop, I like to use the phrase rose colored glasses. So I find the government and a lot of officials are looking at long-term care, hospital settings, even home care with rose-colored glasses where everything's going to work out. Everyone's happy. Mrs. Smith is having her cup of tea, like they're having a wonderful time with these chefs that are making these wonderful meals in these long-term care homes. And it's not the case. Like this is like when we say PSWs are in the trenches, yeah, we're using the military term because they are in the trenches. PSWs are the ones that are doing everything for these individuals and getting hurt doing it. And then everyone's ignoring the fact that these poor PSWs are getting hurt. And I'm getting madder and madder as we're talking about this because it just infuriates me.
Well, because what they're doing, Miranda, is there's another way of looking at this is not necessarily battle, but this is a stage performance where you're sitting in the lobby of a brand new facility. Everything's brand new. Everyone's dressed to the nines. Most of them are. And they're ready to go. And everything's perfect. Backstage, however, once those lights go off on the stage, the PSWs come out and the patients are there. And then that performance is very much different.
Oh, it's extremely different. I mean, and to think like what really enrages me is I was talking to my daughter the other day, and 20 years as a PSW. This is my 20th year as a personal support worker. And I worked for over a decade, as you all know, in long-term care, home care, hospital sector. And nothing has changed.
No, because the ministry does not want to review the contracts that negotiate this and how they allocate payments. They have no interest in doing so. Maintains low
No.
wages and profitability for long-term care providers. It's that simple.
Well, I'm going to keep barking about it until
But we
something
are going to keep
happens.
barking about it because I mean we pay as taxpayers a lot of money for full-time
But
PSW care, and
yes, exactly.
you don't get it.
No, you don't get it. I think in my career of doing OPSWA, and I've been here for 16 and a half years as the head of OPSWA, proud to be, honored, really. But
Yeah,
I think I've met probably 10 full-time PSWs in my time. That's it.
there's not.
10.
Yeah.
And the rest are part-time or part-time cash or casual.
Hmm.
And when I got hired in long-term care, I was hired part-time casual. I was given a line, bath nurse. Don't come at me. That's what they called me. Okay, that was my title. I'm just telling the PSWs. That was my title. That's what they gave me. But I was a bath PSW and my shift was 4 hours. That's it.
Yeah.
I'd have to go in, relieve the PSWs, help in the dining room, and then I'd have to bathe 6 people in that time, 6 to 8 people.
Yeah. So this is and so you have precarious employment and you have multiple employers,
Yeah.
which is why PSWs, for those of you who are in that situation, you do need to look at seriously joining the association. The more of us stick together, the stronger the PSW population workforce will be. You'll have professional liability insurance for each of your job settings. Even when you're on your way there, you'll be covered for those things if anything
Yeah.
happens. It's good Samaritan,
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah. Exactly.
And
So I mean,
take ownership and also look at supplement. I'm going to just give a shout out. We do have a new insurance thing. Please look at the new group benefits on our page. It is very good and it's a very rare opportunity. So I just want to put that out there. For that. Go ahead. Sorry.
okay. No, I was just going to say a very spirited, passionate conversation as usual, Ian. There's a
Yeah.
lot of things that are ticking us off right now that's occurring in the PSW world. And at OPSWA, we keep it real and we keep it real. I mean, I'm mad. I'm mad. I'm not going to hide the fact that I'm mad about this. I'm not going to hide the fact that I'm thoroughly disappointed with one particular ministry of long-term care.
Well, we
Um,
have, let's call a spade a spade. The Ministry of Long-Term Care is very much promoting a privatized delivery system across Ontario, which is the shareholder focus. One just has to look at the prices of some of these shares that have gone up in the last 4 years in relation to certain ministers in office, and you'll see the relationship. It is there. It is public to be seen.
yeah.
It is questionable.
Disappointing. It's disappointing. I think because we really did have it at our fingertips where real change was about to be enacted, and then they switch out people again in the government,
Well,
and then you got to go back to square one. And it's frustrating because we see your plight, PSWs. I do hear you. We
mm,
all hear you. We know what you guys are going through. It's not one of those things where we happen to, hear it every once in a while. I look at your comments. So does Ian. Every single day we are on our social media platforms looking at what you guys are saying and what we need to focus on. And our frustration is your frustration. We definitely feel what you guys are going through, and we're doing our best to try to find avenues to make this change happen. It's difficult.
well, it's difficult when you're going up against a large commercial market that sees a profit to be made, and that's what they're looking at right now is how much money can we make off these people that need long-term care.
It's
That's it.
disgusting.
And if
It's
you don't
disgusting.
believe that, you're kidding yourself. Sorry to say.
Yeah, but you know what? I'll say I'm definitely a fan of the staying your home. Definitely a fan of staying in your home instead of going to long-term care. So
Amen.
that's where we're going to be building as an association. So keep your eyes peeled within the next week because we're coming out with something really awesome for our self-employed and private practice PSWs. So it's gonna be really interesting. A lot of great things coming down the pipeline for PSWs. We have a new course, the professionalism of PSW guide as well, guys, that if you guys want to take through the association, lots of opportunity for growth, lots of opportunity to showcase yourself as one of those PSWs that should be making a ton of money. So this was again interesting conversation, very passionate.
On that topic, next week, maybe we should start doing shout outs to some of our self employed PSWs that are working in home care.
Absolutely.
for
I see
these.
no reason not to.
Yeah, we'll go a couple every week. Make sure everyone knows who's who.
Exactly. All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining us again on actually lengthy PSW
Yeah,
podcast where
32
Ian and
minutes.
I apparently just went off and decided we were just going to air everything as what we do here on PSW podcast. Thanks so much for joining us. And remember, if you're not a member of the association, you need to get on that because if you're not a member, you're not protected. And no, I'm not just saying that. It's the actual truth. So make sure you become a member. It's all tax deductible, lots of benefits, lots of fun. Thanks so much for joining us again. We'll see you again next Friday at PSW Podcast. And with that, I'm going to say, Ops out.